You're listening to the Fantasy Hockey Pucks podcast.
Yeah, how's
We're not dropping on the podcast, bro. That's crazy. That's actually what? Bro, why are you reading it?
I'd have no issues with it personally.
We need to talk business now. Let's drop the puck. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Fantasy Hockey Pucks podcast episode. This one, episode 108. I'm your host, Antonio Capos, alongside Ben Rutledge. We're in exam season, so this is yet again another delayed episode. But once we get through exams, once we're into playoffs, we will be back to our normal episodes. You're just gonna have to bear with us now. That's the life.
Yeah, only a week more of having to deal with potentially delayed episodes. So yeah, exactly. Not too much of a concern long term.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get right into it. There's this new thing that's been around for a while, but we have only really gotten into it recently.
Antonio has only recently gotten into it. Dude, I've been doing these since first year with Ugo.
Okay, but we've only been talking about them together.
Okay, sure. I guess together we've been doing them only since the weekend.
It is Puck Doku. One of the greatest things for a puck knower to either increase your puck knowledge or to simply just have some fun and test yourself. It's basically a game of Sudoku, but with hockey players and teams they played for or situations they've been in or stats that they have accumulated. And so I think we're going to start this episode off with the Puck Doku from February 1st. We've both done the one from today, but going forward, if we ever include these in episodes, we'll do the daily one. Aki is pissing me off right now, but let's get right into it. Let's start the brainstorming function. February 1st, Puck Doku game 9:45. Let's kill it.
Yeah, I mean it's been in front of me, so I have done a bit of thinking. And for Vancouver and the Islanders, Anthony Beauvillier. That's just.
Ooh, I like it.
Nope. You're on Tampa. Click on the wrong one.
Fuck. My bad. Okay.
Solid.
I mean, there is just Okposo for Islanders Buffalo if we want to take it, but I feel like we can get somebody more niche there, right?
Yeah. Matt Molson. Trust me.
Matt, two T's.
Yeah. Yep. There he is. Big old stash. Well, he did.
Damn, 9%. That's hot. He
was pretty good for Buffalo, primarily. And the Islanders, actually. Those are the two teams he was good for, when he was actually a useful player. Detroit and the Islanders, I feel like there's got to be. Did Drouin ever play for the Islanders? No, he hasn't. Or not the Islanders, sorry, Detroit. He played for the Islanders.
I was going to say, I think he played for the Islanders.
Buffalo, Tampa. Bogosian, I think, works for Buffalo, Tampa. I'm not 100% sure if he played for Buffalo. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm pretty sure he played for Buffalo.
I feel like he did too, right? Yeah, I think he did too. I would do Bogosian.
Bang. 19, dude. Fuck.
That's high. Crap. Oh, okay. We can bang out these college ones, bro.
Okay.
Max
Bosa?
Plant, I feel like. That's probably the Detroit
one.
Wait. Do they have to play the game?
He's played a game. Oh, for
yes.
Detroit.
That's what I mean. Do they have to have played a game?
Probably.
All right. Dylan Larkin then is one.
Okay.
I don't hit my historical.
Yeah, it's going to be high.
College knowledge is really, really bad. Also because it's not that common that players came. Jimmy VC for Buffalo. Jimmy VC for Vancouver, bro. People are not going to remember he played for Vancouver.
Ew. You, Rutledge. Ew.
Yeah. I only remember him because he was a big college free agent that the Leafs wanted to sign. Did Varlamov play in Detroit? I know he played in Colorado before. I feel like he could have fucking played in Detroit.
I don't remember him in Detroit, but he could have played there. Dude, Bauer was definitely a college guy.
Who?
Power.
Oh, he did go to college. Pretty sure he played at Michigan.
Does Big Ten count as NCAA? It does, right?
Yes.
All right, take power.
Am I tripping? Or is Curtis Douglas on Vancouver right now? I just got a 1%er. Curtis Douglas for Tampa and Vancouver.
Ooh, I don't even know who that is, bro.
He's like a 6'8", like beast, and he's a fighter. Yeah. Bro, he's played
0.1%.
He's played 41 NHL games.
0.1%, you know? We love that. That's insane. Who's on the Detroit decor? It's Edvinson and Sider. Falk.
And Sherratt. Ma. No, not Mata. Sherratt. Albert Johansson.
Falk's the college guy.
I'm pretty sure Nick Leddy played for Detroit and the Islanders.
Yes, he did. 100%. Nick Leddy's definitely that guy. Dude, Falk's a college guy. I had a sneaking suspicion. I'm like, he's American. He's probably.
So it was actually Leddy, too. All right. We just got a 0.0%. I mean,
that means that we were the first person to put him.
One's got to be what? Like you're the second or third person to put him?
Yeah. Like there's like.
We're just absolutely cooking on those last two.
All right. Who's our last guy? I feel like there's been somebody who was recently traded.
Dude, there was someone in like 2016. There's a defenseman who played for both of them. I know because I remember like the trade happening and I remember him playing for both. I cannot remember exactly who it was, but like there's like a big defenseman who played for Tampa primarily in like the 2010s, went to Detroit, and it's really pissing me off that I can't remember who it is.
Okay, so who's that core from back in the day? Hedman is there. Sergachev.
He's like, like it's not Chernak, but it was like in that group.
What?
No. Dude, I literally have no ideas.
I feel like somebody on the threes.
I got it.
Who?
I fucking got it. It wasn't actually a defenseman, but I got the guy that I was thinking of, Valtteri Filppula. Do you remember him?
Oh, I do remember. He played for the Rangers. For the Lightning.
Yeah, and then Detroit gave him a massive contract, and he was immediately dog shit the second he went there.
We're sure.
We're certain. 100% certain.
Damn, 27%. What?
Yeah, I want to Google it. Because, bro, sometimes there's actually just not that many players who've played for both. Like, that's just sometimes the case. And that's why, like, a Valtteri Filppula ends up as 27% because there was, like, nobody.
Dude, there's definitely somebody big we're not remembering.
There were 34 players who played for both the Detroit Red Wings and Tampa Bay Lightning. Mark Bergevin, shut out. Wendell Clark played for both of them.
Okay. Well, I would never have thought of that.
Adam Ernie, Valtteri Filppula, Gerard Gallant.
Adam Ernie is the one that I was actually thinking.
Glendening.
Glendening, I also...
Tyler Mott.
Dude, Glendening
Vladislav Nemestikov, Brad
I
Richards.
actually used Glendening in a recent one that I was doing.
Brad Richards, and then that's like it for people that we would know. Yeah, that's like it. So, like, I mean, not that many. Like, there's a few former or current, like, or former/current management people that played for them, but in terms of players that, like, we really know, it was like Filppula, Ernie, Glendening, I mean, like Wendell Clark, Nemestikov, Tyler Mott, Brad Richards. Like, that's not that many people and not that many big name players. So I feel like not too bad on us for struggling with that one the most, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I feel like they're
that was good though, but I feel like a uniqueness score of what was it, like 80 something?
Yeah,
and I mean,
we were like 57, and then Phil Pullock, Loki, rear-ended us a little bit. But I would have thought that Phil Pullock would be like lower compared to like Glendening, Ernie, Nemestikov.
But he was good. He was really good for Tampa, and like he was also like notably really bad after signing a big deal in Detroit. So like I feel like it kind of makes sense because like Glendening and Ernie are like career fourth line, or maybe they had a few seasons on the third line.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's keep her moving.
I agree.
Potentially more of those coming your way. We'll see how we feel about them.
Well, and we'll obviously, I mean, you guys will obviously know this, but yes, we're editing it down, and so we'll also get better at it. So as we do it more often, those will also flow for you guys more naturally.
Exactly. And we have an FHP leaderboard, so go ahead and go join that. You'll see me and Ben are both individually on there doing the daily ones, and you can compare how you do compared to us. But other than Pucktoku, what have you been up to recently, Rutledge?
Not much. Spent a good amount of time with my girlfriend. You know, she's going back to BC here at the end of the week, so gonna see her kind of at the end of the week, drop her off at the airport. Excuse me.
You are
so. I mean, that's not ideal, for sure. Her going back to BC and me staying in Ontario, certainly not ideal. But you know, it is what it is. And other than that, just basically studying. Actually played a solid 2.5 hours of squash, including against one of the linear algebra teachers at Laurier.
What?
And, he worked me, bro. He worked me. It was like a 55-year-old, 6-year-old Asian man, and he worked my ass.
I mean, damn, bro.
So nasty.
Sometimes they're just like that. He was doing.
Bro,
like
he couldn't really move. So like, I kind of figured out. But the thing is he hit it so hard. And 2, he'd hit it and it would like go into the corner. He'd hit it so hard it would bounce off the back glass before touching anything, hit the ground, and would bounce high enough for me to just hit it again. Like, that's how hard he would hit it.
Yeah.
And also, actually, the killer one was I would serve to him, and then he just hit it really, really low, like right above the bottom line, and it would die before the service line. Like it would touch the ground before the service line. On his side. So I basically had to get all the way to the other corner after serving before else I would be cooked. So that was really the killer, but he couldn't really move. So once I got him moving, I was better, but it took me a minute to realize that.
So he was a
But anyway,
guy?
It was fun. Played for about 2.5 hours. So it's a good workout. I sprained like 3 of my fingers, bro. That's like the only injuries I had because I would like put a hand down and like swipe and like get low to it. And I'd like put my hand down and like jam the finger into the ground.
Oh, I mean,
when
I learned to play, I jammed a toe. So that's the only thing that I.
Yeah, because you ran uncontrollably into the wall.
Hey, it's the way to do it.
But what about you? What have you been up
to? Literally just exams, dude. Had another exam yesterday. Had my end of year choir concert with the McMaster Choir, which was good. We had our HBO concert earlier in the week, which is also good, which is the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra. And so now I'm done that.
You gotta, it ain't no HBO Max type shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I got physics and calculus left for exams, which I'm stoked for. And then pain and torture is over. And I get to go and relax and drink without any worry on my brain.
Yeah, that's exciting. I still have 4 exams left, so I'm still in one. But we battle through. All right, let's get into a bit.
You know who else battled through?
Who?
Rory McIlroy.
All right, that's what I was going to say. Let's get into a bit of a sports update. But yes, Rory McIlroy wins the 2026 Masters, defending his title and remaining as champion, winning the back-to-back green jacket. I don't know exactly how many times it's happened, but not that many times that you win back-to-back green jackets. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard the interview, but like he should have won based on the interview that he gave, where he described the fact that he would drop his daughter off in California, which is, I believe, where they live in LA, and he would fly to. He lives in Florida. He lives in Jupiter, Florida. That's actually where like a lot of golfers live, so that makes sense. But so he lives in Florida, and he would fly to Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, to play after dropping his daughter off at school in Florida. Would fly to Georgia, play a round or 2 at Augusta, and would be home for dinner with his family back in Florida. And he literally took the last 3 weeks off. He said like he doesn't like the tournaments leading up to it, which totally could be true. But at the same time, I think also planning for the Masters and being at his best for the Masters was also a big reason for that. So, I mean, massive advantage to him. But, I mean, all these other golfers who are the best in the world, like Scottie Scheffler's got the money to do that if he wants to. So, like, it's not – I don't feel McIlroy deserves unnecessary hate. I mean, environmentally, you can hate on him for sure. That I understand. But in terms of saying like, oh, other golfers don't get to do that, sure. But like the ones that would be competing with him, like Cam Young has the money to do that if he wants to. Scotty Scheffler has the money to do that if he wants to. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, what's the rule? If you win at Augusta, you can then play the course.
You can play forever. Yeah, you can play in the tournament forever. So like Freddie Couples is like 80 something or 90 something. He still plays every year.
Is it not embarrassing at some point to play it like you're not even?
No, he knows he's ass. He knows he doesn't care about winning. He's just like, I get to go out there and I get to play. Because also it's so exclusive that like, I don't even know what it is to be a member there. But like even though you won and he can come back and play, he can come back and play in the tournament. Doesn't mean he can just come back and play on a random Tuesday that he feels like going down there and playing. So like it's his one opportunity that he gets to play in it per year. I would use that every time.
Yeah, if you're the current winner though, can you just play like whenever or?
Yeah, I think that's how it works. And then you can become a member too, but I don't. It's really really like exclusive and it's meant to be all like pish posh and all that. I don't entirely understand how the rules work, but I know that like that's why McElroy got to play. I think that's how it works. Is that you get like a year's membership by winning essentially.
So you're basically saying I would look like a kindergartner if I went to try and like play at that club.
Oh, that so much so that the people said like there was a question they're like that they asked the golfers, like, what would the average golfer need a lead on Sunday at the Masters? And they're like probably 100, and they still probably wouldn't even win because it's that hard and that much pressure. And then obviously the other people would just be way better than you. Yeah, and they're like, you'd probably shoot like 180, and like a pro could shoot like 67. Yeah. And you, but I mean, like by both of us, maybe me like 100.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, but like specifically me because I'm a math.
All right. I know you are. And the final, well, not the final, but really the only other relevant stuff that's gone on in the sports world is Max Verstappen, notable F1 driver for the Red Bull Racing, is debating retirement. Sorry, kind of mind blank there, but he's debating retirement. I mean, it's been a clusterfuck of a year so far for Red Bull. I know he's had issues with just Red Bull in the past, but obviously motorsport is a relatively dangerous sport. He's made a ton of money in it. He's won a ton already.
Think that's not what I heard was the reason for him though. Like
I can't actually remember the exact reasoning. But
so what he was saying is what I heard was it was just like isn't fun anymore now that they have like new regulations around the cars. Like he's just like they don't drive the same anymore. Like he doesn't get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, fair. That's
just crazy. He's on a crazy like
career right now. I know. Well, no, like he won like 4 in a row, I think. And Lewis has 7, which is the most, but he ain't winning this year. But he could just there was also talk that he was going to go sign with Mercedes. I don't think he's going to retire. I think it's hard to say. Like, he's kind of weird. I think he likes attention, but then also sometimes he acts like he really doesn't as well. He kind of seems like a bit of an arrogant guy to me. And so for him to walk away not on top doesn't feel like something he would do either. Like, it feels like he would win and say, F you guys, I find this too easy and you're not making it fun. So now I'm going to dip. But him finishing 7th, I don't imagine him being like, yep, that's all I have for F1.
So I think maybe like next year he goes to Mercedes.
He's going to go to Mercedes, win for a few years, and then be done early.
Okay,
is what I think is going to happen.
So maybe like he wins like 4 out of 5, and then
or just go win until he's the GOAT, or just win 1 and then be done. If he genuinely is that close to being done, he could just be like, I want to end on top, win 1 and then be done, which I think is also possible. But I just don't see him not. And I mean, it's very very early. Red Bull can adjust their car, figure it out. But it just, when they're struggling as much as they are, and Ferrari and Mercedes is as good as they are, I just don't see them getting into that upper echelon, and so don't really see him winning much of this year, and which is the main reason why I don't think he's going to retire. Because I don't.
That's valid.
Being mid.
I mean, it would be crazy if you're like retiring at that young age. Like, we just don't see that in sports really in the current day when you can make millions of dollars doing it. Like back in the day, sure. Like you had like a guy like in hockey, like a guy like Ken Dryden. Dude, Ken Dryden back in the day was like, yeah, I won like 6 cups in 8 years, and I'm gonna go become a lawyer because that'll pay me better. Like,
yeah.
You just won't do that anymore. Like,
Yes, if you exclude football, yes, that holds true because there's plenty of cases for football of people doing that early, but that's because football's way more taxing in your body than any other sport.
yeah, it's true. And CTE.
Yeah.
Talking about other sports, though, let's get right into some. All right. We're once again dropping the puck. We are talking hockey on the hockey podcast. That is the Fantasy Hockey Pucks podcast. And what better way to start it off than with a kind of a Cinderella story in the Denver College hockey team. And
I disagree. I think it's a dynasty.
You think it's a dynasty?
They've won like 2 or 3 of the last 5 or 6. Would have been nicer if I knew the exact stat, but they've won, I think, 3 in the last 5 or 6. They've made the Frozen Four 7 in the last 10 years. That I know. Brandon Carl, man, I think it's Brandon Carl. Man, I wish I'd done.
Yeah, they've won 3 out of the last 5.
Yeah, like and they've made the Final Four 7 in the last 10 years. They're just a dynasty, man. It's that simple. And their coach David Carl has turned down like countless teams to go to the NHL to just stay with Denver. Like when they won 2 years ago, there was a ton of interest around him. The Leafs being one of them because the Leafs had just fired Keefe. And so he was one, and he was like, nope, I'm going back to college. I'm staying in college. And he's just created a dynasty there in Denver. And I mean, you get paid a pretty penny in college nowadays. So I kind of get it. Like if he's just figured out what works, he just keeps
you also
winning.
don't want to like being a college coach, like a good college coach doesn't mean you're going to be a good NHL coach. Like coaching university and college students is completely different than coaching professionals. And so I can understand not wanting to ruin your reputation. Like your reputation is like one of the greatest college coaches right now. You could go to the NHL and then just have 2 bad years. And then all of a sudden you're like back to ground zero, basically.
Not really in hockey, but in other sports, there's countless examples of this. Like Nick Saban didn't work in football. The coach of the San Francisco Giants right now in the MLB, he was the head coach of the Florida Gators, I believe, their college team. And like he came in and said, like, the first thing he's like, man, you can't just yell at them. Like you have to like respect them essentially. He's like, they're professional athletes. Like I can't just treat them like kids because they're not kids. And so that's not exactly great. If you're a San Francisco Giants fan, I feel for you. Probably didn't make the right choice in manager, but like that's a perfect example of how it's very different and why success in one does not lead to success in the other.
Yes, but talking about success, how about Johnny Hicks? Man,
he's a freshman, eh?
Just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Freshman comes out, wins most outstanding player of the tournament, has a .950 save percentage in 78 saves in that. I think this is just counting those last 5 or so games.
Just in the tournament. Yeah.
And he doesn't lose a game in regulation the whole tournament.
Well, he didn't lose a game period in the tournament, but yeah.
Sorry, not in the tournament, but in the college season.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like, this is a guy, like, to be fair, he was insane when he was playing. There was some other minor leagues that he was playing. He was insane. Then he came up and played in the WHL and was like just like good for a prospect, but like compared to other prospects. I think he had he was sporting like a 902 or something in that range. And then he comes to college and he just absolutely shows out. Like it's so random with goalies sometimes. I feel like it's so hard to predict their development.
Yeah, I agree.
But definitely an interesting to watch. Like, do you know what his draft year is?
He's eligible this year, I think.
Wonder if this boosts his stock enough to get him into like the top 5 rounds.
Part of the issue is he's only 5'10", and I believe UC Saros is the only under 6 foot goal in the NHL right now. He might even be like the only under 6'2" goal in the NHL right now. And so that as an immediate starter is one that like will limit his draft capital, will limit his opportunity in the NHL point blank, because analytically a smaller goalie just is less apt to work. You're like, I'd rather develop a 6'6" goalie than work with this guy and try to. I actually cannot figure it out. I'm really trying to Google it, but I don't actually know. Like, it's like, should they be interested in him? but like it's not been made clear
On his draft capital?
Like when he can be drafted. Like theoretically, it would be his draft year this year.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that says like should GMs be interested in him, but nothing is saying like he's not really projected anywhere. So that tells me he's probably like projected 5th to 7th round, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Well, yeah, everything I'm seeing is expected. He would expect to be a late round pick. I mean, he probably could go, but I also think after having a year like that, why wouldn't you go back to college? And if you do it a second time, that'll catapult where you're expected to be drafted. Realistically, when you're getting into the 5th, 6th, 7th round, it's a crapshoot anyway. So why wouldn't you take someone who has upside like this?
Yeah, I feel like for him especially, he's looking to be taken, like drafted, and then from there go back, because
just go back, cook again, and be like, look, like that wasn't a joke, that wasn't a fluke. Like, give me an opportunity now. Because I think if he has a very similar season, like there will be much more serious eyeballs on him and much more serious consideration, regardless of any height issues.
Yeah, but I feel like also like if he's like, okay, I'm not going to declare, there's a chance he doesn't have a good season next year and then just never makes the show. So also, I feel like for him, like you're ideally looking to get drafted this year, but like if you go undrafted, obviously there's still the backup of.
Yeah, he can be a UDFA.
Going back to college.
UDFA. I mean, yeah, he's only a freshman, so realistically, he's going back to college no matter what. Obviously, it would be nicer for him to be going back a drafted prospect and like the member of an organization. But I think with the success of recent college free agents, I don't think he should be necessarily worried about whether or not being drafted. I think he should just make sure he goes back to college and has another season like that. Because if you keep playing like that, eventually someone will give you a look, whether it's via the draft or just signing you outright.
100%. Other notable players in the tournament, there's an all-tournament team. Other notable players, so Johnny Hicks was the goalie. The two defensemen were Ben Dexemer for Wisconsin and Boston Buckberger for Denver. What a name, holy.
What a name, holy.
The forwards were Vasily Zelenov for Wisconsin, Ryger Lawrence for Denver, and Kyle Chizowski for Denver. I'm hoping I said all those right. I feel like I did a decent job.
I think you did.
And yeah, obviously Johnny Hicks got most outstanding player. Kind of surprised. I've never heard of any of those college guys. Like, obviously I don't pay too much attention to college, but like there were guys in the tournament that we know and are like.
Yeah, but part of it is like if you're not once you're not a top you're not a top prospect, like a first or second round pick, we won't know who you are. First of all, at least
but like why are there no top prospects there?
I know, but what I was going to say is part of it is it's much like in March Madness when you have a bunch of guys who aren't going to the NBA but cook at the college level because they're a little older. They've figured out how to be successful at the college level. And so for those Denver players could be like 22, 23-year-olds never going to make it.
That's true.
5th, 6th round picks who are like never actually going to make it, but they just have figured out how to play at the college level and they're a little older. You're going to look this all up, aren't you? Know?
I just want to see what Boston Buckberger looks like. Yeah, he's 22. Yeah, his stats weren't that crazy this year, but I guess in the playoffs he just cooked. He's from Saskatoon.
It's 5 games, I think, right? Like 4 games. So like it's not that hard to like cook.
To just have a few good games
randomly and then make the all tournament team.
Agreed.
But I don't disagree with you. I feel like in previous years that all tournament team very likely had more big name prospects on it than it does right now.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Let's keep it moving.
Ready to move on? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So in the world of hockey as well, moving to the NHL standpoint here, Jonathan Quick is playing his final home game. He is retiring at the age of 40. Quite the career as a goalie, not one that you see all the time, going from a very successful starter to somebody who's been a backup for years. Most of the time, those guys either keep their job as a starter or retire once they no longer have that starter job. But I guess he's had some humility. He's had some success as the backup as well. He's been very good as a backup with the Rangers. And
yeah, when LA traded him to Vegas and he was really bad for Vegas and technically won his 3rd cup, like he got a ring and everything, I was so certain that was it because he was LA officially didn't make him the starter anymore. Like they'd kind of already been switching towards making the backup, but that trade really solidified the fact that he was now a backup in the NHL.
Yeah.
And he honestly, credit to him, because I agree with you. Like most goalies, especially when they already have been the starters, sorry, my eyes are watering, would not have the I don't know. I think humility is the best word to describe it. To go be a backup, and I mean, when you're backing up Igor Shesterkin, a little easier to swallow the fact that you're a backup because like you're backing up one of the best.
Well,
guys.
they gave him some good games behind Shesterkin, man. They gave him like a
Shesterkin was hurt for like a good chunk of it. Like when the Rangers were a fringe, like borderline wild card consideration, Shesty got hurt and they fell to like immediately the bottom.
Well, I'm not talking about this year, like last year even.
I know.
Like he was cooking.
I know.
He was cooking.
Well, yeah, he was really, really good. His first, I
look,
think 2 years ago was his first year in New York, right? He was insane his first year in New York. Like so much so that, and Chesty wasn't very good. They actually debated making him the starter that year. He was so good.
Yeah, which is, I mean, again, if you have the humility to be the backup, sometimes you can just go out there and show it with your play, and
you're more healthy. Like it's probably for him. He's like playing a game every 5 days instead of a game every 3 is probably a little better for his body.
Yeah. I wonder if we see this more going forward with players, especially with tandems being more and more of a thing.
We say that, but like there's a lot of starters that are already really old, like Bob Markstrom. Those are 2 that come to mind that are already like very old starters. Kemper.
Yeah, but I feel like the old generation of starters, like you look back to like Lundqvist, was just the starter always until he finally retired. Even when he wasn't that great of a goalie at the end of his career, like we're seeing something similar.
I actually think though that like because goalies can normally play so long and normally don't debut for late or till later in their career, like late 20s normally is when they really start to like take control. And so I feel like it's common that like they can play in their late. I actually disagree with you. I don't think we're going to start. I don't actually know if you said that we're going to start to see this. I don't.
Well, I was saying like with more tandems, I wonder if we see this happen more because people can eat going from playing like 50 games to playing 40 or 35 instead of what it used to be, where it's like they're going from playing like 65 to playing 25.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. But I think if you look at the NHL, like there's not really a lot of goalies who are anywhere close to losing their starting job right now in terms purely on the age factor. It's like Bob and Markstrom are like the only 2. I said that, and then that was like the only 2 that came to my mind. And Allen's the backup in New Jersey, who's just as old as Markstrom.
Well, I was texting you earlier. Over the last 2 years, there's been so much goalie turnover to younger guys. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. And so I feel like, but I don't disagree with you. I think I also think we're going to see less of like the goalie who just plays 60 games. They're going to be in a tandem anyway. So to switch to the 1B of the tandem later in their career, I think I agree with you, is definitely more plausible. But I think part of it is that like, I don't know, like goalie's not really a position where like the only thing that's going to give way is just your flexibility. Like you're just going to like have you flexed everything so much for so long that you're just going to eventually wear down that way.
Yeah.
It's not like you wear down because you get hit so often. So you are able to play later as long as you don't deal with chronic injuries really in any like tendon area, joint area.
Or like your back too.
Yeah. And so like as long as the soft tissue kind of areas stay healthy, you can play for a really long time and at a high level, which is why I don't think goalies, we see them fall off the same way players do.
Yeah. And I mean, talk about consistency throughout his career. Quick played 828 games so far, 410 wins, 65 shutouts, 2.51 goals against average, and a 910 through his career. That's just nasty. A 910 through your career tells you that you're like, he's one of the best that's done it at his position.
Well, he was easily there's years that he was considered the best goalie in the plan in the 2010s for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where he fits all time, but 3-time Stanley Cup winner, Conn Smythe, 2-time William Jennings. He's on that list of, I think there's 7 goalies since the expansion period to win Conn Smythe, and I can list them right now. It's Vasilevsky, Jonathan Quick, Tim Thomas, Cam Ward, John Sebastian Giguère for the Ducks, Patrick Roy 3 different times. Kind of nasty. I mean, he is just the greatest goalie ever. Mike Vernon, Bill Ranford, Ron Hextall, Billy Smith, Bernie Perrant twice, and Ken Dryden. So that's some pretty good company right there. And, I have no doubt that he'll be probably first ballot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. First ballot. He is 12th all time in wins. Amongst goalies, not really close to passing anyone. Bobrovsky's 7th noteworthy of active goalies. And then, I do think though with some of the other goalies starting earlier, I think we're going to start to see like all-time wins and stats like that. Like some of the counting stats be rendered a little more irrelevant in all-time discussions because it'll become much more the norm for a goalie to debut at 24 instead of 29, 28.
Although to be
But
fair,
I say that
season,
because Quick is 410 and Vasilevsky is 369. Like next year, Vasilevsky could pass Quick. And Vasilevsky's only like 32.
The issue with the current NHL and those records is that because we're seeing starting goalies play less and less games, like back in the day, goalies played 70 games on the regular.
Fair. I guess
if you look at a Martin Brodeur, he played 70 games almost every single season,
I feel
which
like
is why he's so far in
it out
away.
Because I feel like they debuted later, which is why they played in. Like, bro, if Vasilevsky plays for another 8 years, he won't pass Brodeur at 691, but he could very easily pass Fleury at 575.
Well, I think he's one of the greatest goalies of all time, so I think that's.
Like, yeah, I agree, but I think Hellebuyck's
I think he finishes top.
Frederick Anderson has 324 wins. Like, if Frederick Anderson hangs around for a few
more
years,
he's 38 now almost.
No, he's like 34, 35. Like, that's what I mean. He could hang around as a backup, win 20 or 30 games 3 or 4 more times, and all of a sudden you're like right there with Quick. And like, are we really going to say Freddie Anderson is the same caliber of goalie as Johnny?
He turns 37 this year, though. Like, he's not going to hang around for.
Okay, he's a little older than I thought.
Yeah,
it's a little lower than I thought. Okay, so that definitely changes the argument.
I don't know. I think it'll all balance out in the end, if I'm honest. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying to find the person that's somewhat young. Shesterkin's at 187, but I guess he's already.
That's again another elite guy.
No, I get that. I know. I've kind of realized that that's not going to be the case because there's just not that many active goalies that are high up. But yeah, Ottinger and Shesterkin are two that could, but they're only at 183 and Quick was at 420. So yeah. Yep. I retract my statement. That's not really going to be an issue.
I don't think
all-time wins are going to be very valuable and will keep Quick's resume very, very high. But I mean, man, Freddie Anderson deserves some love, I feel like, personally.
Yeah, that's
how high he is. Bro, he's got more wins than Tuukka Rask.
I mean, he's had some seasons where he's been a top 10 goalie in the league, right?
I know, but it's just weird because he was never really a top 5. Maybe a few of those years in Toronto early in his career.
Wins is also a team stat is kind of part of the issue, right?
He was also, we had horrific backups for a while. So he was playing 65, 60 for us.
Yeah.
So I guess, it does kind of make sense. But yeah, man, he deserves some more love all time. But I agree. Quick it or not, I agree. I don't know. I just kind of say that when I don't really have anything else previously said, but I think Quick is going to be first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I think not much else needs to be said. Good luck in your final game against Florida, and hopefully you lose.
Crazy turn, but I understand the sentiment. In other news in the NHL, we have another retirement. It's Joe Bowen, famous caller for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
You're the Leafs radio announcer. You're listening to the Maple Leafs radio network. That's always what he'd always say as they go to commercial. And
some all-time moments, especially in our recent memory of
but
Bowen,
even his all-time calls go back to he called Gilmore goals. He called Doug Gilmore goals. He called Matt Sundin goals. He called Austin Matthews goals. He called Matthew Nyes goals. He's called all the different eras of good Leafs.
As a Leafs fan, do you have a favorite call from him?
I don't have one particular favorite call. And if I were to go watch back some older videos, I would remember one. But one I always remember is Brian Boyle. Probably only Leaf fans will remember this game. But in game 2 of the series against Washington, we were in overtime down 1-0. It may have been game 1, either game 1 or game 2, but the first year we made the playoffs, Brian Boyle does this ridiculous no-look backhand pass behind the net to Kapanen, who scores to win it. And he's like, "Oh my goodness, what a brilliant pass from Brian Boyle, and the Maple Leafs win it in overtime." He said that one was one that I remember. And also from that year, same thing. In game 82, we're trying to clinch the playoffs. And we're playing Pittsburgh, and this was 2016 Pittsburgh, prime Pittsburgh, and we had McElhinney in net. Why it wasn't Freddie Anderson, I'm not entirely sure, but we had McElhinney in net, and he makes a ridiculous cross, he goes across and stuffs his pad in the post, and Crosby one-timered it like low, and he makes a great save. And Bowen's like, holy Mackinac, holy Macaroni, because there was like a minute left, and then Matthews went down and scored the overtime or the empty netter, put in the empty net. He's like, God, Matthews is free, and he scores. The Maple Leafs are going back to the playoffs. That was a fucking good one.
That's electric. I mean, this is another guy like Quick who will be in the Hall of Fame, obviously for a different reason, not because he was a great NHL player, but one of the greatest announcers that we've known, and he'll make it in that.
An ambassador jacket, which they normally only give to like big time alumni players and biz. So yes. Although I actually don't think the Leafs gave it to Biz. I think off the record, Darcy Tucker gave him his. Is I actually think how he got one.
Damn.
But because he said multiple times someone gave me it, but like obviously he's not gonna throw them under the bus. But I know he's done sandbaggers with Darcy Tucker, so that's who I sneaky think is the one he did, or maybe Ty Domi, but I don't think it's Ty Domi. Mostly because he's still too involved with the Leafs to like not have it.
Yeah, it's definitely somebody who's like somewhat in relations with Biz, but like also not.
Or
really
it could be like Kessel, bro. I don't even know if Kessel would have one, but could be him.
Yeah, Kessel's a bit of a jokester like that.
He wouldn't give a shit about having it.
Yeah.
I saw a fucking hilarious Phil clip today where Randy Carlyle comes in. They're clearly playing on the road because it's like a dumpy room. And he says something to him. And he's like, oh, Phil, you did this yet? And he's like, oh, good one, Randy. I don't know if you've like heard him talk. He has that super nasally voice. And he's like, oh, that's a real fucking good one, Randy. And I don't know if you also heard the video where like they had to do weigh-ins and Phil didn't want to do weigh-ins. And Randy Carlyle told like the assistant to come down and be like, you got to go do your weigh-ins. And Phil's like, you tell that fat fuck if he wants me to come do weigh-ins, he can come do it himself. Like implying that Randy Carlyle should come do the weigh-ins for him. And
dude, he's like, one of the like
he can weigh his fat ass in as well.
Dude, I swear he's one of the least serious NHLers.
Bro, he's on the
That's actually been successful.
World Poker Tour. Did you know that? He said that's my calling. When asked why he's on the World Poker Tour, he said that's my calling.
Dude, but like his scoring talent alone just made it so that they couldn't get rid of him. Like,
yep.
My lord. Talking about other Leafs and talking about final games, is this the end of Morgan Rielly in Toronto? He was just in an interview where somebody basically asked him the same question, like, you know, does a player like you think about this potentially being your last game at home? And Rielly was like, yeah, like definitely been in the thoughts. So what are your thoughts? What do you think? Do you think this is the end?
Listen, I think it sucks it comes to this because it was way more fun to hate on Gardner and Hall because they were never really Leaf greats. Gardner had a few flashes. And Hall had a season or two where he was a solid second pairing defenseman, but like nothing like your franchise number one for the last decade and a half. Nothing really remotely like that. So I think it's honestly, I'm disappointed it's come to this, but I think trading him is for the best. I think if we trade him now and there's only this one like blip in the resume of him being bad, like his memory overall amongst Leaf fans will be that he was one of the best defensemen in franchise history. He's been the number. I mean, he had a 72-point. He had a 20-goal, 72-point season. Like, obviously, he was never really that true elite number one that wins you a cup. There's a massive reason, to be honest, why we never won a cup. But I mean, he's still. Yeah, I'm yapping. But basically, I think this should be it. I think this is it. I think with a new change of guard coming in, they're going to want to change the culture in the room, and the easiest way to do that is by trading a player who's making too much money, wears an A, is the longest tenured Leaf, and just arguably does not help us win anymore. I think at only 7.5 with where the cap is going, I think you can get someone to take that on. It's basically going to be a here's Rielly for nothing is my guess. The deal because it's not as high as Nurse, and like he also is not viewed as negatively as Nurse is. Like Nurse has been shit on for 5 years. This is the first year he's really getting crapped on. Yeah. So I think
it might be like him in like a fourth.
Or it'll be him in like a
San Jose, like go give him to San Jose to be like a second pairing guy.
Yeah, or Detroit because they have a ton of money. But like you throw, or like we give you like a Michelli or Robertson, like we give you a young RFA who you're like, we view them as a fit in organization. The Leafs are like, whatever, we can, if that's all it takes to get rid of Rielly, by all fucking means. And I just think there's way too many reasons for like, and obvious reasons for him to be the one, like the guy moving out. for that not to be the case. And I also think with how badly this year's gone, he would be willing to waive now. Like I think he said no last offseason for a reason.
Yeah.
But I think he would be more willing to say yes as the media starts to get on him, as the year was not that good. And now this is going to be the multiple times they've asked him to waive it now.
Yeah. I mean, Treliving gone now. I wonder if it was something Dubas ever really got to talking on. Like, obviously, he was trying to move Marner, and he got the no from Shanahan. I wonder.
I 100% think he did. 100% same conversation because, bro, when Mikhail Sergachev was traded in, I think 2023 to Utah, or were they Utah? Like, it was whenever they were Utah once, because he never played for Arizona. So, like, whenever they became Utah last year, he was traded there for JJ Moser, who's an immediate top 4 insertion for the Lightning and has been, just got a nice extension. Connor Geekie, who was kind of a blue chip prospect at the time, has gone down to more a middle 6 expectation prospect. But like, and you cleared out a bunch of money, like 100%. Kyle Dubas floated the idea out there amongst his group of trading him. I don't think ultimately he decided it was the best idea to trade him, because I feel like when everything was being leaked about him wanting to trade Marner and it basically Shanahan being a dumb fuck, I feel like that would have come up in how badly Rielly's played this year. If they legit were going to trade him, that would have come up.
Yeah, it might have just not progressed the same way though. Like maybe like Dubas, probably the reason like we've heard so much about the Dubas Marner situation is because he probably had a trade on the table and Shanahan said no. Like he probably never actually
Vegas. It was to Vegas. Yeah. I actually think it may have been for Petro. Something like that. Like I think it was Vegas, because like I've heard Vegas has been where he's wanted to go since we said we were going to trade him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add on here, but if we're going to talk about the Leafs management and Dubas,
this was insane. This was actually.
I think it's important to talk about Canada's World Cup front office and the fact that it's literally just the Leafs front office like merged together. It's Brad Treliving, it's Jason Spezza, and it's Kyle Dubas. They're all going to work together to come together with a Canada World Cup roster for the coming year. And I don't even know how they're going to work together. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I don't know. Like,
no, that's pretty. I like Dubas. Like Doug Armstrong and Kyle.
I like
Dubas.
I like Spezza. But
it was like Doug Armstrong and Kyle Dubas were like the Olympic GMs.
Yeah, but what is the thought process in Treliving?
Yeah, that one I don't understand. Like he was literally just fired. Like, do you really need 3? Also, like, could you not have just sent Spezza and Dubas? Like, did you need a third guy?
Well, also, Spezza and Dubas have done a good job. Treliving is literally he was fired because of the dumpster fire that has been.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand it.
Surely there's another Canadian GM that would be willing.
But what my immediate thought is that a lot of candidates said no. That was my immediate thought. Is that a lot of people said no, I don't want to do this.
And Treliving's like, I got the free time now.
I don't watch the World Championship. Like it's not. It's just not that interesting. Like not the best players go. You just get a lot of third line, the occasional. Like the best players are second liners. The average player is a third liner.
Yeah.
Like it's just not that interesting. It's in the middle of summer. Like I totally get saying no to that, and I think that's the only reason he got this. Is that and why Spezza got it too? If we're being quite frank, why I think Spezza got it too, not being an actual general manager, or president or something like that. Like I think again, a bunch of people say no,
right? Like for the
no, I know, but he's still an assistant GM though. Like I think a bunch of people saying no is why he was afforded the opportunity.
Yeah. People forget, man. David Pastrnak was there with David Krejci a couple of years ago. The World Championship.
Yeah, you get the occasional good player. I mean, actually, I shit on it, but Sid and Celebrini went last year. But just historically, you get Nick Paul and Andrew Mangiapane being the best players for Canada. As Antonio texts someone, love that he's absolutely dialed on.
Sorry, my mama is texting me.
For those of you who don't know this, that's a 1,000% necessary that he answers that, or else he'll receive 7 more asking why he didn't answer.
Yeah, like ding, ding, ding.
Moving right along, the Toronto Maple Leafs and New Jersey Devils both received official permission to talk to Florida Panthers assistant GM Sonny Mehta. However, it is kind of believed around the league that he's kind of a shoo-in for that Devils job. He worked in their analytical department from 2014 to 2018 before going to Florida. There may have been a stop in between Florida, but I know he left the Devils organization in 2018. That's where he broke into the hockey world. That's like he has tons of ties to people still in that organization. And it really just feels like he's using the Leafs for leverage. That's what the Steve Dangle podcast said. So like he's basically just using the Leafs to get more money because he can argue, look, the Leafs are willing to pay me money. So New Jersey, just give me more money. And so he's just using us to leverage himself in deals, which I mean kind of sucks. He was definitely probably the most interesting candidate out there for sure, just given obviously the recent success of Florida and the fact that he met exactly what the Leafs wanted. But I would love to turn my attention to Spezza or Pridham as now the two guys that I'm most interested in. I'm hearing a lot of Mike Gillis for president. That's one that's really starting to come up a lot. I really don't have any issue with that. I mean, he was the president of the Canucks team when they had the Sedin twins and they were really good. He kind of started the rebuild. And then obviously it's hard to survive in a management role throughout a rebuild. Most of the time you end up getting fired. And so he obviously did end up getting fired. But I have no issues with that. Again, I just like that it's a hockey mind, like that it's someone who's had success, someone who knows what they're doing, so he can tell Keith Pelly to back the fuck off, basically. I would just love a hockey mind to start making these decisions and then let him choose the GM. But I would love it to just be either promote Pridham or bring over Spezza because I think those are two really please not fucking Kevin Adams.
Yeah, fair. And I feel like, I mean, we got a lot of thoughts out on that on the previous podcast. If you want to hear more on that, definitely go give it a check. It's labeled Brad Treliving the Dream.
Toronto's Tree Living the Dream is actually what it's called. Episode 107.
Thank you.
No, actually 107 is the Dynasty starts after
it's
you.
106. It's
106. Okay,
yeah. But yeah, like we're gonna fire through a couple more updates now, and then we'll get into some more heavy current content. But firstly, James Hagens debuts for Boston. Boston, really weird look, honestly. They've sat a couple of their guys who have been firing on all cylinders on that second line for the Bruins. It was Arvidsson and Zaka that they sat. And Hagens came in. He was playing on the third line with Minton. And he got a point in his first game. And pretty successful. Don't want to add too much more there. So we'll monitor the situation, but nothing more to say now. In the world of injuries, Noah Dobson's going to miss the start of the playoffs with an upper body injury for the Canadiens. That's worth looking at. Miro Heiskanen is also injured TBD, which means he's probably missing multiple games because they would have said he's just missing game one. No,
it's not reported like that. He got hurt 2 games ago, I think. And he was TBD at that point. They have yet to really provide a concrete.
Yeah, but if he's not day to day now, like.
But I know, but I don't think it's necessarily that. I think they're just waiting to see. Like it'll be like almost 2 weeks that he'd been injured for. So I think he'll be ready for game one. Okay. Yeah. Rupe
Hintz will miss game one though. He's been out for a while. Not going to be ready. And all of the Bruins, Canes, Wild, and Sens are resting players heading into the playoffs.
The Bruins, Canes, Wild, and Sens have all rested players in games leading up to it. So for those of you, obviously, in fantasy finals, I know, but I'm wording it differently. For those of you in fantasy finals, obviously very relevant. This is the last week. I don't necessarily recommend the final starting today, which is Monday, April 13th, but I'm not against you wanting to use these last 4 days in your finals if you so choose to. Our leagues have them. I'm in 2 finals, and so obviously monitoring the fact that the Bruins, Canes, Wild, and Sens are resting players. The Canes brought a bunch of them back the next game. The Penguins also rested players. On the Saturday matchup, they brought all of them back for the Sunday, so they're not going to rest them for every game, but they certainly aren't going to play. They're going to probably play every other game. The Stars have yet to rest anyone, but I think they just need 2 more points to officially clinch second, and then they'll rest players as well. So watch out for that moving forward, just for those of you still in fantasy leagues.
Wonderful. It is time to get into more playoff talk here. As we were talking about people in the fantasy playoffs, we have some more definitive results from the actual playoff race in the NHL. Last time we were here, we were kind of talking about how there was a few games left, and we were just going to wait for some more definitive results, and now they're here. We have a list of teams that are eliminated, a list of teams that are in the hunt, and there's, I think, 3 spots up for grab left in the playoffs. The Atlantic is
4
finalized, and so are the 2 wild
There's
cards.
2.
No, there's the wild card, there's the 3 spot in the Pacific, and there's the wild card in the West.
There's no wild cards in the East.
Yeah, I know. There's the Metro 3, there's the Pacific 3, and there's the wild card in the West. That's 3.
Oh, okay. I guess, but Anaheim's basically clinched that.
Yeah, but they haven't clinched yet, though.
I guess, yeah. I guess I was considering that a mental clinch and not.
Yeah, but no. By the numbers, they have not clinched yet. Our eliminated teams are the Detroit Red Wings, the New York Islanders, the Winnipeg Jets, the St. Louis Blues, and the Seattle Kraken.
The eliminated teams and our eliminated teams also.
Okay, whatever.
I'm being an ass.
Yeah. And remaining in the hunt, the Philadelphia Flyers, 94 points, 2 games remaining. The Washington Capitals, 93 points, 1 game remaining. And the Columbus Blue Jackets, 92 points, 1 game remaining. The Columbus Blue Jackets basically need a miracle. I think the only way that
it's got to be Philly's got to lose out and Washington has to lose is probably the only way that Columbus gets in. Is my guess. I mean, I want that.
I wonder who has the. I wonder who's the tiebreaker if Washington loses in overtime. I wonder who has the tiebreaker if Columbus wins and Washington loses in overtime. Because Columbus, the only way they're in is because they have the tiebreaker over Philly.
Well, I guess, but you meaning like if there's a 3-way tie, who has the tiebreaker?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
I
hope it's Washington. I know. I hope it's in order: Washington, Philly, Columbus. I think Columbus is the worst team. I get Werenski's a dog, but I also think hashtag free Werenski, man. I think if you traded him to a team that just an organization that's able to win more, I don't know who would be like a San Jose.
Dude, I don't think.
They're not going to. They're not going to. But my point is the rest of that team is not that exciting. I don't think they're that good.
I mean, Fantilli's getting better.
If you want to check out this conversation, a really in-depth conversation comparing Florida and Columbus between Antonio and I, check out episode 107. Going to plug that. But I think Washington's the best out of those 3 teams. I think with the addition of like Cole Hudson and Ilya Protest into the lineup, that makes them a significantly more exciting team.
It is very interesting.
Protest Wilson line is like that is a unicorn-esque line. Like you almost never see that, and you have 3 functioning NHLers who are able to operate at that size. You know what I mean? And like not be a legit liability. So I think Cole Hudson, the addition on that back end, which was already good, but really coming in and being that John Carlson kind of replacement, allowing Chychrun to still, he runs the first power play, but allowing Chychrun to still be that kind of elite, more Robin-esque role because Hudson's kind of come in and been on that number 1 pairing. Oh, actually, he's playing on the 3rd pairing, but he plays in that offensive role that Carlson was doing, allowing Chychrun to kind of just do his thing. Yeah, I really think Washington is the most exciting team there, and I think a Washington-Pittsburgh 2-3 series would be unfucking real. So that's who I hope makes it.
I mean, again, I'm a big Blue Jackets fan. I'd say Jackets and Capitals are pretty equal for me. I just don't want the Flyers in. Kind of unfortunate the Flyers have 2 games remaining and probably will make it in. If they win, they are in.
Well, I mean, it's basically not Columbus at this point. It's
well, yeah, but like if the Flyers win, it's no longer a race to clinch.
Yes, this is true.
But yeah, not a huge fan of them, as I've said before. We'll get into the West here. And the remaining teams that have not clinched that are still in the race are the Anaheim Ducks, who have 90 points in 2 games remaining, who've basically clinched that 3 spot. The Kings, who have 87 points in 3 games remaining. The Predators, who have 86 points in 2 games remaining. And the Sharks, who have 82 points in 3 games remaining. Sharks need a miracle. And by miracle, I mean they literally need the Kings and Predators to lose out. And they need to win all their remaining games for them to make it in. So 88 points is the magic number for them to get in.
And I think if the Ducks just register a point, no, they technically need LA to lose 1 game, and then the Ducks register a point, and then they are guaranteed in the playoffs. Well, actually, no. If Nashville loses a game, they're in the playoffs for sure. Yeah. But to guarantee the 3 spot, they just need to record a point and LA lose a game.
Exactly. I do think Anaheim will finish with that 3 spot, and it will be between the Kings and Predators to get the other wild card. Like San Jose, you can basically count us out, but they have to be on this list because they're mathematically possible to make it.
Much like Columbus. Yeah, I agree. I think the teams that are in the playoffs, I think right now will finish as is. I could see Philly lose out and Washington get in. That I think is the most likely swap if I had to pick one. And yes, I get that's a bit of a hot take, seeing as Nashville's only a point behind LA and LA is 3 left, San Jose Nashville's 2. I don't know. I just think that LA is playing really well. They obviously have more games, and I really just don't think the Nashville team's that good. I know they got hot there in the middle of the season, but when push comes to shove, I just don't think they're that good. I think LA's better, and I trust LA down the stretch to win important games more than them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of this. I think we will see LA make it in. I don't think the Preds will, like, unfortunately for them. Would have liked to see that older roster get one crack in the playoffs because I feel like they could have performed, but I guess it'll be a nice last run for Kopitar.
I mean, let's be real, bro. Whoever makes it out of these two is just how many games can you survive against Colorado, and hopefully it's more than 4.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. It's much like last year. Who is just going to get absolutely
exactly? And I don't care what you do, LA. Just get in the playoffs and get us that second round pick, big dog. Because then, if we get that, and also the Leafs currently sit top 5 for those of you who don't know. So if everything ended right now, lottery goes exactly how it should be, like lottery, like no one jumps, nothing like that. Obviously, that's not going to happen likely. But if everything was as is, the Leafs would have a first, second, third, fourth, fifth round, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth round pick this year for the first time since I think 2016, the year we took Matthews.
Yeah, damn. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm pissed off. I thought we were going to have a high pick this year.
You still could, bro. Have you seen the odds when we pick 5?
Yeah, I know, but
like it's sub 50% that we retain the pick with us sitting at 5 right now.
I prefer if you were at 6.
Well, obviously. But bro, it's still it's still really close because a win puts us ahead of Florida, Seattle, and St. Louis. However, Seattle and St. Louis have a game in hand on us. We all are equal in points. So it's really us or Florida for 5th.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what happens. I mean, for the playoffs, we have some key games coming up. Basically, any game played by the Preds, Kings, Capitals, Jackets, or Flyers is must-watch hockey right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, what we're doing for episodes this week is because we're kind of a little bit later with this episode now, we're basically going to end for we're going to wait for the end of the regular season and then put out an episode that's going to have our thoughts on the end of the regular season and going forward into the playoffs. And that'll come out, I think, Friday night after the conclusion of the regular season.
Probably not Friday. Yeah, it'll probably come out Friday afternoon. We'll probably record it Friday morning, Friday afternoon, because the regular season will be over, and then the playoffs start the next day. So yeah, it'll be pretty much 2 segments. It'll just be concluding our final thoughts on the regular season, overall thoughts on it as a whole, and then our pre-thoughts on the playoffs. It'll be 2 main segments.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have, I think if all goes to plan, we will have a YouTube video with either just the 2 of us doing a fantasy playoffs. We have our thing that we do every playoffs where we draft players from every team in the playoffs to combine their basically fantasy points from their whole playoff run. But we may be getting in Azim he's been a special guest on the podcast before, and Owen Edward Hamilton, who used to be our Ozone guy, to join us for that.
Yeah, we've past few years, Antonio, Owen, and I have done that. Done the playoff draft where we draft players in before the playoffs start, and then that team is your team. So obviously, if all of them get eliminated in the first round, you're fucked. There's obviously strategy to drafting both good players, but good players who you believe are on teams that are going to go far. So I think it's interesting. It's definitely interesting strategy, interesting debate, something I definitely recommend you guys implement with your friends. It's really not that hard to do. There is, as of right now, no online thing that I found. Now, granted, I've not looked this year, but in previous years, I've not found one that is what we want to do. So we just do it on Excel, and we just do it purely points. It's how we do it. Like only points and power play points / shorthanded points are what you get points for.
Well, and then our goalie stats are
kind of the goalies same. Is just
as what we do for our Bengals.
Yeah. That one requires a little bit of math,
for saves and it's points for saves and then points against for goals and then points for wins or losses.
But yeah, so it does require us manually doing it, because I know if I was a listener like you guys, I would immediately be like, where do you guys do this and how do I do it? So unfortunately, it is all just like we do it manually, but it's not that difficult as long as everyone keeps track of their team. And also, worst comes to worst, it's easy to fact check it, because you can just go look at their playoff stats for a total and be like, oh, they scored 7 goals, had 4 assists. It's 3 points for 7, 2 for an assist. You do the math and you get to 25 pretty easily, and or 29 easily. So you just go like that, and if that doesn't line up. So that's to say it's easy to fact check, but if everyone does it, it's like 30 seconds after the end of the game to do it. So I recommend you doing it. I'll end this yap because that was just a lot of nonsense.
Yeah, it's okay. And we will probably, when we're doing that video on YouTube, we will probably give you all the, like, a legend of our points and like how we do calculate that stuff. And you'll see how we format everything. So if you want to copy us,
so check out YouTube at Fantasy Hockey Pucks to see that as well. If you're, you know, one of the people in the car, you're just listening, totally get that. But if you do want to see us, you do want to see some graphics that come up on screen throughout the episode, again, I recommend you check out YouTube at Fantasy Hockey Pucks. Let's keep it rolling.
Okay. We are going to get into our second main segment here, which is going to be 3 hot takes for the 2026-27 season. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to you for number 1.
Okay, I'll go first, but I do want to provide a little more background information. Obviously, the season's about to come to a close, and there's a ton of moves that are going to be made that we don't know, but our opinions on teams that we remember as best at the very conclusion of the season. So that's why we're saying, based on how we're feeling about teams and where they're projected to go in the offseason, and then you can kind of formulate roughly what a team's going to do in the offseason. And so, barring obviously any crazy moves, what do we expect teams to do next season, and what are some of our hot takes? So without further ado, the first one that I have is I believe the Boston Bruins are going to be sellers in the 2026-2027 season. I don't think the construction of this roster is one that I believe should have you feeling confident that year over year you're going to be in contention for the playoffs. I think down the stretch, you guys have played 500 hockey throughout most of the year. You've played a little bit above 500 hockey, but like if you just look at pure wins and losses, you are a average team. Like you're pretty close to 41-41 if you remove the overtime loss and stuff. And I think year over year, any team who is that mid, and a team that also is not like a Sharks or Ducks, there is no immediate expectation that you continue to linearly grow. Now, obviously, you're going to come back and be like, but I think that we have a team that can.
Can you let me make my points instead of
okay, fair. But I guess to the main rebuttal of the Bruins are a team that can linearly grow. First of all, I say look at the construction of your Boston Bruins team like 3 years in the future in Chell, and you'll see that like basically no one on the current roster is still on that team. So I think that's one telling of how your actual players are. Secondly, I think you're a team that's really old. You have Higgins coming up, but Liesel's not shown nothing. Poitras has not shown anything to excite you. Letourneau's not there yet. I think that's an exciting prospect, but not someone who's going to step in. You got no one on defense who's going to come in. And sure, you can do the DiPietro Korpisalo swap, but realistically, that's maybe winning you one extra game if you think Korpisalo was that bad. I see Zaka having very much could regress. Arvidsson very much could regress. I think Geeky, what he's been the last second half of this season, could very much just be what he is moving forward next season if you keep him off a line with Pasternak. Obviously, Minton's seen a ton of positive growth, and you love to see that. But I also think, again, linear growth with a player who's 21 years old is not linear, especially when they aren't like a top 10 prospect out the chute. But this could be a horrible take, and he could come back with 60 points next year. But I also see a world where he has 40, 35 points again, and he struggles and is not that good. And obviously, Pasternak's really Pasternak. But outside of that, there's no one on that offense that I trust long term. And outside of McAvoy, I would say the same thing on that defense core.
Okay, I'm going to rebuttal you here. First of all, when you say year over year, like we were bad last year. The year before that, we were a pretty good hockey team.
Yeah, and then you had Bergeron and Krejci the year before that.
No, we didn't.
No, you didn't. Okay, yeah, but like,
and we were a pretty good hockey team. We were a buying team. And we were older. We're actually a top 10 youngest team in the league right now. Like that, when you're saying we're an old roster, we're not.
Yes, but I'm talking about your key players. Like your top 6 is Lindholm, Zaka, Arvidsson.
Well, I mean, key players. Our key players going into next season are Geeky is 27. Pasternak sure is 29. McAvoy is 27. Swayman is 26, turning 27. not that old. Hagens is going to come in and be one of our key guys. He's 19, turning 20 next season. And Minton. With those, I call that our core.
Okay, so a guy who has 35 points, a guy who has been horrible.
Okay, don't look at what they are now. Like if you say like if you said Hagens right now, he has 1 point.
But what I'm saying is for Geeky, there's like actually, if you want to go historically, the expectation for Geeky is he scores 15 goals next year because 2025.
I'm not saying historically either.
It's a massive blip in his career. Like his career
I don't expect him to score like 50. I think he's going to be like a 30 goal guy next year. 30 goals, 50 points. That's what I expect out of him. But I also don't see the regression.
That's a good second liner. I think Minton's probably a second liner. To expect Hagens to come in and immediately be 60, 70 points, I think is a little ridiculous in my opinion. I don't think he's going to come in and be that good. I think we've seen a lot of players go in the 5 to 10 range recently who've come in and go look at Berkeley Catton's stats. Go look at Michael Meese's stats. Go look at the two that come to my head who like top picks who like have come in and just been okay.
What I don't understand is like how you can look at our year this year and be like, that team's gonna be sellers next year when this year like we're approaching 100 points.
For the record, sellers does not mean that you're gonna be bad. Sellers just means that by March you're out of the playoff race. That doesn't mean
that by definition means you're bad. You're
okay, yes, but like my point is not to say that being sellers does not mean that, but for 2028 you're screwed. I just think for next year, there's not going to be enough internal growth from your young players. And I think the overproduction you're getting out of that second line next year and the overproduction you've gotten at a Geeky to start the year, I think is not going to be replicable. I also think Jeremy Swayman's has been the second best goalie in all of hockey this year. To expect him to just come back and be that good again is not something you can expect. Top 10 for sure. I'm not saying he's going to be last year's goalie. God, no. But to expect him to be like a Vezina candidate is not an expectation you can have for a player year over year.
I mean, he's been that
had a sub 900 save percentage last year. Like, don't come at me with he's going to be this good because he had a sub 900.
Again, he's been a Vezina candidate 2 out of the last 3 years.
He was not a Vezina candidate 2 years ago. He was on a top 3 is what I'm talking about.
On like goal save above expected, he was.
But was he on the ballot? Was he on the ballot? Was he one of the?
No, I said he was a nominee. I didn't say he was a finalist.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about because he's going to be a finalist for this year. So he to expect him to be a top 3 goal in the NHL next year. When you look at the fact that I think all 3 Vezina nominees from last year are not going to be nominees this year and weren't really sniffing it, like I feel like that's proof that like goalies are very fickle and year over year can change. Your defense core is very old. Like Zadorov, Lindholm, peak his ass and whatever. And obviously you got McAvoy. But like low rise very much stagnated in his progression. Yeah. I think Zadorov is going to not be as easy as this year. I think Lindholm's on the slope.
I mean, basically what the thing is, what you've said for selling is basically the worst case scenario. Everything that you've outlined is the worst case scenario. Oh, people are going to stagnate. Oh, people are going to decline.
Like, I wasn't saying they were stagnating. I was saying Lindholm is already declining and Lowry has already stagnated.
Yeah, which I don't think is the case. Like Lowry hasn't. He was on an exponential path, and he's just not quite as exponential. He's like linear now. And he's good offensively. He's not good defensively. You can work on that, but like offensively, the output out of him is what we need.
I just don't see. I also think that there's going to be like teams are going to be better next year in the East. I think that the teams who are really good are not going to be any worse than they were. Like I would say the top 3 very realistically could just be the top 3 again next year, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I think Florida is going to come back and be just as good next year. I have no idea what we could be. There's a world where we are better, but there's also a world where we're equally ass. So I don't include us in this conversation. I think you have to expect Detroit to make some sort of massive move, whether it is a good move in value purposes, you don't know, but they're going to get better based on the move. Like they're, I think, going to go out and trade a bunch of futures for a big name because they need to, and Yzerman's going to get desperate. So they're going to get better.
I mean, we can talk
about that, but I just don't see the amount of young players with room to grow, even if Minton becomes a 60-point guy, Hagens comes in and is immediately a 50-point guy.
I mean, Husnutdinov's also 23. Minton's 20.
Fair, but like
Hagens is 19.
That's what I'm saying. I get
We're
that.
going to get somebody probably, if we end up getting the Leafs pick, we're going to get a guy that's top 10.
But that guy's not going to play this year. Antonio, I'm not saying you're fucked for the future. I'm saying for next year alone, I very much can see a path where there's an offseason where there's not a ton of names out there. Most of it has to be via trade. You don't really have any assets you want to trade because you obviously want to develop all these guys. The fact that Husnutdinov is immediately in the top 3 of young players for people that you want to develop is exactly why I'm saying there's not enough on this roster yet to expect internal growth to counteract the overall, what I think is going to be drop off of that second line, somewhat drop off of Swayman's play only because he's been so good this year, and an overall regression from the decor. Now, you can obviously go to make big moves to switch that, but I think you yourself have said, I'm not trading Hagens, I'm not trading Minton. Without trading either one of those, it's going to be borderline impossible to acquire a massive impact player.
All right, I'll give my closing thoughts here. Like, going into this season, I would have agreed with you because I didn't really have too much hope for our roster. But what's shaped up has worked. And we do have, I think, basically what's going to happen next year is we're going to add a solid top sixer to our roster in Hagens. Like, he's going to be a solid guy who's top six. And you're removing basically nothing. Like, you might lose Peak, who's been negative WAR on the season. You're probably going to.
You as well.
I believe we're going to re-sign Arvidsson. I'm pretty certain that's going to happen. And we're not losing anybody else. Aside from maybe we get rid of Corpusalo and again bring in DiPietro, I think is a
fair. But my point is,
anyway. I'm saying let me just give my finishing thoughts here, and then we should probably move on because I don't want to talk about this for half an hour. But I just don't like. I think we're again adding a top six forward and not taking anything away. And I don't think that the regression is going to be so bad that overall dips us to be a team that's like worse than 90 points, which I think next year 90 points will be the marker to get into the playoffs, not the like 100 points it's been this year.
I think it very much could be that because I think the Metro could be the same, but I think I think the three teams who are this good are going to be this good next year. I think Florida will be as good as the top three are next year. And I think Ottawa is going to be probably just as good. And so you're probably already the fifth best team in the division now. With Florida being good, you're probably the fifth best team. And the arguments that you've made for Ottawa in the previous days, which means I know you're high on them, you're probably the fifth best team in the division. Sixth best team in the division, sorry. And so I feel like immediately when you enter the season like that, you could just start off the season okay. And you're going to be in a clusterfuck and you just stay okay for the rest of the year. And you're like, you know what? We have Hagens. We have Minton. We can sell a Zaka. We can sell a Arvidsson. We can sell a Lindholm if someone's willing to listen. We can get some futures. And all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, you acquired even more futures. You have players who are now second, third year in the NHL going to grow. I'm not saying don't believe in the long-term outlook of the Bruins. I'm just saying for next year, I think you're over-expecting your young guys for what they can do. And I think you're not prepared for the fact that Pavel Zacha is not a 30-goal scorer and Morgan Geekie is not a 45-goal scorer. And losing that production is going to be – and Hagens is not going to come in and replace that.
Okay. I mean, we can disagree. But
I want to give one thing to say. I actually have kind of changed my tune and don't even think long-term you guys are that fucked. I just think for next year. I don't like the outlook and see way too many potentials for fall off.
We'll see what happens come next trade deadline. I'm gonna flip to the West Division now for my first one, and I'm gonna say the exact opposite's happening to the San Jose Sharks. They need a miracle to make it into the playoffs this year. I think they're gonna be division winners next year. I think that there's just too much potential with that lineup. I think Cagnoni is going to improve massively on the D end. I think Dickinson's also going to be probably a solid first pairing guy come next season even. They're definitely going to go add somebody in free agency on the D core, whether it be a Radish, whether it be trading for somebody, which we can talk about later. But then on the offensive side of things, Celebrini, not necessarily. I don't necessarily exactly expect him to have the exact same season he's having this year. He's having a very dominant season, but it's something maybe like 90 to 100 point range. I don't think is unfair to predict. And then guys around him, like Michael Misa is definitely going to progress. A guy like Chernyshov is definitely going to progress. Or I shouldn't say definitely, but the group of them as a whole will progress. Not sure exactly how much each individual guy will. Will Smith will also probably give you very solid top six points, if not progressing to a guy that's like a strict first liner. And you still have William Eklund there. You have so many pieces that are just all trending up. And you're going to have a pretty decent pick active
in the trade market. I think obviously you can expect all that, but I also think like they have 2 first-round picks this year. To expect them to pull off, like one of them is the Oilers. Like say the Oilers are picking 28. Would you be that surprised if they go to trying to think. If they go to like the Rangers and be like, pick 28 and these two prospects that you like, and we get Trocheck. Like, I think that that's totally realistic. They have tons of assets to go do it, and they have all the cap space in the world because they're paying like nobody yet on that team. So I 100% agree with you. I think they're like entering as one of the most exciting teams entering the offseason in terms of what their roster looks like now, and they have like some of the most assets in the chamber to go pull off a massive trade.
Yeah,
so
I love everything about
all to
this.
say, I think that's a great take, and I 100% agree.
Damn, I thought you were going to disagree. I thought you were big on Anaheim.
Oh, actually, okay, that's a good point. Yes, I agree with where you're coming from. The take, everything you like I've outlined, I agree. I do think that the Ducks are going to win the division next year, almost for the exact same reason as San Jose. I just think they have more currently playing. I think they have more when like Leo Carlsson isn't on the ice. They're getting more out of the rest of the roster than the Sharks are.
Yeah.
I think they're going to extend John Carlson as well. I think he's been I really like the fit there. I think he's got a little more left in the tank. I know he's like 36, 37, but I think like he's got a little bit more left in the tank. I think him with Lacombe has been magic. I think you obviously have to replace a little bit on that right side because I think both Trouba and Gudas are free agents and probably one of them leaves. But you have a ton of young guys like Tristan Leno and amongst others that are able to come up and play. And I just think like the core of Cutter Gauthier, Leo Carlsson, Mace McTavish to a lesser extent, Troy Terry, I think Lacombe, I think that core is further along than where the Sharks are. I think Dostal's a better goalie in net than what Askarov or Nedeljkovic or Ravensburgen can provide. And so I think, yes, I see where you're coming from the Sharks. And yes, I did agree with it and the overall sentiment of it. But I think the Ducks are in a better spot. The Ducks have the same amount of assets. And I think the Ducks just have a better team right now as proof of being higher in the standings. And so I think they're more realistic to do it. But I really like where you come from the Sharks. My second take is I think Austin Matthews scores 50 goals again. He's only 28 years old, and by no means is he washed. I think if you were a Leaf fan watching, I think heading into the season, you definitely thought he could be washed because he looked ass last year. I will fully accept that. And keep in mind, he looked ass last year and had like 35 goals and like 70 points. So like,
yeah, I mean, it's just like he's a superstar.
It's Matthews.
So that's Matthews.
No, for sure. I'm not saying by any means that a 70-point season is what you expected. I'm just saying, but when people think of him, like people thought he was like horrific, sky is falling level bad, and he had 70 points. So like, I just feel like that needs to be touched on. This year, I mean, point production wise, I actually think was a bigger disappointment than last year's was. But if Leaf fans out there watching, when the year 2026 rolled around, he has not been the same player. Or he like this player that we saw in the calendar year of 2025 and the player we saw in the calendar year of 2026 to the eye test is not remotely the same player. What he had to work with was significantly less, which led to the drop in production. But I think the Olympics are proof he was the best American player. Like he had the most points. I think, was the best American player in almost every game they played. I think he's been dealing with a coach that built a defense-first system that, granted, made him one of the best defensive centers in the entire league, but also really neutered his offense. He had to spend more time going in the corner as well when you're playing with fucking Bobby McMahon and Max Domi. Pretty hard to rely on your line mates to help you either in the defensive or offensive zone. And so I think get a coach in there who understands that this team needs to be built offense first, understands that, maybe we don't need to build a defense-first team. We should maybe build around our 60-goal, 70-goal captain who's in the prime of his career. And I think the analytical view will suggest you build around Austin Matthews. If we are truly going analytically, I don't see a world we don't bring an offensive coach, and I don't see a world where we go out there and find the best possible solution for him on right wing. It'll be Nyes, him, and someone, because Nyes will be healthy again, which means he can play on that top line again. And I think predominantly it's the fact that he's shown he's not washed. He showed he was really, really good at the Olympics, and the fact that we're switching to an analytical approach that generally means offense first. And we will likely be building around him and scoring goals, and that includes him. And I'm pointing at his name on our script for those of you on
YouTube. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it was surprising to see the dip in production. I definitely expected it to come back up, but I definitely agree. Like this season, he's shown flashes of just being that guy again. And I think
like the eye test, he showed he had it in him again this year.
Yeah. Especially playing on a team that actually will have drive potentially next year if you guys make some changes, will be big. I will say, I think if you guys are sellers again next year, you could see a similarly disappointing season out of him. especially like more so in the point production side of things. Like if you let's say you don't bring in another top 6 guy and you just commit to rebuilding, and he has to
Well, if
carry
we commit to
everything.
rebuilding, I can't lie, he's traded.
Yeah, that's also a big possibility.
Because, like, to be honest, the entire offseason is either retool means keep Matthews, rebuild means Matthews trade is the first thing you do. Like, literally making sure he's on board for this retool or deciding that the organization is best to go to a rebuild literally all starts with him. It's either who do we get to put beside him and Nyes, or what are we getting for him is like the first question of the offseason. I think after you figure out the obviously like managerial side of things.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they come and get. Yeah, okay. So getting into my second take, I'm a big Alexis Lafreniere guy coming for this season. I think he will be point per game going into next season. After Panarin left the Rangers, Lafreniere went just on an unreal tear. I'm pretty sure he's point per game through like 17 games after Panarin left. Could be wrong. Very much could be stat checked there. But he's been unreal. I think we're finally seeing him show what he's really capable of as that first overall pick from 5 years ago. And I think that going into next year, if he's solidified in that role, if the team's a little bit more successful and he's able to keep that role and keep that production going, he's definitely capable of point per game. And I think that he will do that, and they will keep focus on, if for the Rangers, it makes a lot of sense on focusing on making him a guy that can very much produce, given he's one of your younger players that's actually proven on the roster. And so I think you have to focus your attention on him as a guy going forward.
I 100% agree. I also think like they had the line of Zibanejad, him and Perreault is their other first round pick who is cooking in the University of Minnesota, I believe. And he's come up and honestly been pretty good. And so I agree with you. Like, obviously his production his growth and development is like of the utmost importance in the organization. I'm just going to disagree with you because I don't think he's point per game good. I think everything you outlined is true. I think the total production we've seen since Panarin's been traded has also been very good, but it's also been like 5 weeks of production. And we've seen Alexis Lafreniere be point per game good for 5 weeks. I just don't think he has it in for a full 82. I think to expect 60 pushing 70, 100% could happen, especially as a hot take. I just don't see point per game because I just quite frankly don't think he's a good enough player to be point per game. But everything you've said in terms of expecting a massive increase in production from him next year, if you look at his career totals, I definitely agree with that.
Okay, let's keep her going.
All right, the third and final take that I have is a little bit more of a different take because it's less of a concrete take, but I believe Adam Fox is going to be traded. Obviously, for those of you who don't remember the entire situation, he was drafted by the Calgary Flames. He basically said, I ain't signing here. I'm only signing in New York. So trade me to New York, or you can just lose me and I'll go sign with New York as a free agent. And so obviously the Flames end up trading him. I don't remember what the trade was, but certainly not even fucking close for what they should have got, given that it was given that he's become Adam Fox. But if you listen to the way he talks, he doesn't really seem on board with a rebuild or retool. He obviously said this year is disappointing. Like, I'm willing to give the team blah, 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 blah. I just feel like he's 28 years old. Obviously, like, you want to go into a retool, but I feel like to retool, you got to trade someone good. If you really want to bring in a quality amount of young assets to genuinely improve your team's future, you got to trade someone good. I don't think
that's not going to be Shesty. You're not going to get that return.
You're not trading Shesty. And I don't think anyone wants Zibanejad or Miller. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to trade either one of those guys with the amount of term they have on both their deals. I think closer to UFA is a different story, but it really leaves Trocheck and Adam Fox as the two guys that you're willing to trade that's going to get you substantial return. And I think trading Adam Fox right now, like, you're trading a guy in the prime of his career, locked up long-term, not coming off a bad year. Like, nothing about this is a forced trade. Like, you're dealing from a place of strength, which is why I think trading him makes the most sense. The three teams I have listed as very interesting possibilities are the San Jose Sharks, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Winnipeg Jets. Now, obviously, Detroit and San Jose make sense. They have tons of prospects, tons of picks on the cusp of, like, becoming the team that's in the playoffs perennially, and they have a ton of cap space to bring in his $9 million cap hit. The Jets, the reason I think the Jets are on here is I think they sneaky have the assets to go do it. They have all of their first-round picks. Like, they have not traded any first-round picks. They have Braden Yeager, who's a relatively highly touted prospect that was taken. They have Brad Lampert, who's actually was, a first-round pick, but he's come in and he's played. He's played reasonably well, but is a young roster player that certainly the Rangers have interest in. As well, you're going to have a top 10 pick this year, likely, because I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And right now they're picking top 10, which means you can just include that pick or whoever the fuck the pick is. And then, but
they're eliminated, but yes.
Okay, they are eliminated. But so they're going to pick top 10. So you're you trade that pick. Say you trade pick 8, you trade Braden Yeager, you trade Brad Lampert, and you trade 2 future first round picks. That I feel is enough for the Rangers to pull the trigger on the deal. Obviously, it's more pick centric, so they'd have to be a little more understanding of that being the main return. But I think that they could, because picks are easier to trade. Yeah, and I think Winnipeg could get desperate. I
like that option for the Rangers. I don't like that option for Winnipeg. I think they're closer to a rebuild than they are.
But the reason I don't think they're going to is they are borderline. If we go into rebuild, we're losing the team and they're being relocated. They already barely sell enough to maintain enough money to stay in the league when they make the playoffs every year. So what happens when you're consistently not making the playoffs? I actually don't think right now they could go into rebuild and comfortably say we'll come out of it on the other side in Winnipeg. If they enter rebuild, I genuinely think they're getting relocated because I think their attendance is going to be horrible. And I think,
to be fair, I don't think the front office will change if that's even if they relocate, they keep the front office. So I don't think that's something they need to
I get that, but they're going to want to stay in Winnipeg. And I also think they just won the President's Trophy last year. They're not going to rebuild. They could, but there's almost 0% chance when they are 2 years removed from extending Scheifele and Hellebuck. They are 1 year removed from the President's Trophy. I think to pull off a massive move like this gets you back into contention. A decor of Pionk, Morrissey, and Fox as your 3 main guys is a decor that can win you a Stanley Cup with Hellebuck in the back of the net.
Losing a prospect like that and your picks when you don't already have hella prospects coming up could be detrimental to them long term.
Potentially, but I think their roster, first of all, this is a hot take. But secondly, I think their roster is not that far from being is not that far off from being a team that can produce. They won the President's Trophy last year with a roster that had about Nick Ehlers is about the only difference in this roster to last roster. And the fact that they were healthy the whole year, which they weren't this year. I think if you bring in Adam Fox, who is a top 5, top 8, minimum top 8, in my opinion, top 5 defenseman, you're dramatically changing the outlook of this team. You now suddenly have a decor and a goaltending group that is good enough, if not better, than what Dallas, Minnesota, and Colorado all have. Yeah. And so obviously the 4 is a bit of work, but I think because it's Adam Fox, I would not go out there and trade 2 first-round picks for a Rickard Rakell. That's nowhere close to enough. I only think because it's Fox, who's this big and moves the needle that much, it would work. And I see them doing it because I could see them getting desperate to get back in the playoffs. Even if you want to remove the Winnipeg part, I think the organization alone could get desperate enough to get back into it.
I like the idea of Fox getting traded. I do just like the Sharks and Red Wings a lot more as a destination. They have
for sure. I want to throw in a little.
They have more cap. They have. The Sharks, I think, ideally will get him because they have so many prospects, picks, and they have a serious need to pick up a right-handed defenseman there. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. If I'm honest, there's an 80% chance in my brain that Adam Fox is a Shark if he's traded.
I don't think that's crazy because I don't even think there's an 80% chance he's traded. I think
I said if he's traded. I said if he's traded.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I would say it's closer to 50 in my opinion, but yeah, I agree that San Jose would probably be the favorite.
But this kind of feeds into my third take anyway. But I think that the Jets go the opposite direction there. I think that the front office, sure, they ideally like to stay in Winnipeg, but I think at the end of the day, they're going to do what's best for the long-term financial benefit of the franchise as a whole. Which even if they end up moving somewhere else, they're going to do what's going to try and make the team the best. And I think that is a move off of Connor Hellebuck, who's 30 right now. You're going to get the most you can get for him right now. And I think it's going to send their team into a full rebuild because if I'm honest, behind that Scheifele, Connor, Perfetti, Velarde, those 4 and Morrissey, they don't really have too much else. Their depth has been shot as the main defense from last year to this year. And so I think Connor Hellebuck is a move that they can make to put them into a strong, at least retool, depending on what they get back. But I like him going to a team like Detroit for either a Kosa or an Augustine. And then, Augustine could even play decent for Winnipeg next year. For all I know, he could be a good goalie out the gates, and they could still be a pretty good hockey team. But I think that they need to move off of Hellebuck because the way that they're trending right now, they can't do it. And I guess there's two ways you can go. You can either go Fox and go win now, or you could go get rid of Hellebuck and go rebuild. And I prefer that option if I'm them. So I think that Yzerman's going to get desperate. We've talked about this. And I think upgrading your goalie there, like Gibson's pretty much done in Detroit. I think he's turning 36 now. We're starting to see he's been better this year than he was with the Ducks the last couple of years.
Stat?
What?
He's 32 years old.
Gibson's 32? Dude.
And he's making $6 million for multiple years. I
must be
completely forgot he was on the team. I'm not going to lie. And low-key would actually remove Detroit because I actually don't think that Detroit would trade for him.
I still think that you take Hellebuck. He's a major difference.
Well, obviously he would, but they just traded for him and he's making like $6 million for at least next year. And I think
all the year after. But you have 3 goalies there anyway, in Kosa and Augustine. So I think a move off of Gibson's going to happen regardless. Like maybe Gibson gets.
I don't think Augustine's playing next year in the NHL. I think Kosa could because he's a little older. I don't think Augustine's playing until probably 2027, 28 at the earliest. Like, he signed his ELC, so he's not going back to college, but I think he's going to spend at least a year in the AHL before they bring him up.
That's fair.
If Askarov, Wallstead, and Wolf are proof, they don't come up at 19. They come up at like 23. And Kosa's, I think, 22 right now, which is why I think realistically he's the backup next year to Gibson. But I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I mean, you could include Gibson in the trade going back. If you wanted to be like, for Winnipeg, saying you can retool while not being bad at the same time. I don't know. I just don't think the organization would be willing to go that route. I don't think I get what you're saying. I think it's a totally interesting discussion. When you're 1 year removed from a President's Trophy, you don't sell your best player like a year and a half after winning a President's Trophy. Like, the organization would just not give up that quickly because obviously winning is what keeps their jobs. And if you go into a retool, and it doesn't work, which is more likely than not, they're all fired. So I don't think they'd be just willing to go into that closer removed from being so good.
I do just think it's the correct move, though, at this point in time. Anyway, that is it for the hot take section. And we have one more section for you guys before we get going, and that is I keep forgetting.
What's on your mind?
I keep forgetting that you can't hear me say what's on your mind when I go to the graphic. I will fix that going forward. That's a hand up accountability moment from Capo. But Rutledge, what is on your mind?
Honestly, this is not what I'm supposed to say based on the script, but John Tavares just scored a power play goal, and that was fucking massive for me in Fantrax. So that's actually what I'm thinking right now. And it was from Willie too, but we better lose. Also, the Leafs power play is sneaky 15th in the league now, despite like all the discourse at the start of the year and the last year about how we were dog shit. But anyway, I didn't even know that. I do have one thing on my mind. We're talking about the 2026-2027 season, and where else do you start if you don't start with the projected first overall picks that are going to debut in that year in Ivar Stenberg and Gavin McKenna? And what are your expectations for them? Do you expect them to play? What sort of point production do you expect of them? Where do you expect them to play in the lineup? Obviously, we don't know where they're going to be taken, but I feel like knowing where all the the bottom 5 teams in Vancouver, Calgary, Chicago, New York, Toronto, and you want to throw Florida, Seattle, and St. Louis in there as potentials. How do you see them falling? What kind of expectations you have for them?
So I think regardless of placement, whoever gets them, like unless it's some crazy thing like how the Rangers jumped up to get Lafreniere.
Oh yeah,
no,
Islanders for Schaefer.
The Lafreniere one.
Islanders 10 to get Schaefer, dog.
Yeah. But unless it's a team like that's like pushing playoffs right now, I think they're both instantly first liners. I think this is probably the best 1-2 that we've gotten out of a draft since maybe Matthews.
I don't think they're insta first liners on.
I think they are.
I don't think they're insta first liners on 3 of the bottom 5 teams.
Whoever goes to Calgary, I'm hoping McKenna to Calgary. Like, I'm a big fan of that. Back to his home
for sure,
home area,
like,
and he was instantly first liner there.
Well, yeah, obviously, but
he's seen with if Stenberg goes to Vancouver, instantly first liner.
Those are the only 2 that I would say they're instantly first liners.
Well, I think that's
the Blackhawks won't give up on Bedard yet. Like, they're still going to play him at center now.
No, if the Blackhawks,
I get that, but
have the pick. If they have the pick, I think they're taking Stenberg and they're going to put him on his wing.
They're not, again, same thing. You're not going to immediately give up on him being a center. You're going to want to develop.
No, Stenberg is a winger.
Oh, he is a winger?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't actually know that. But again, for Chicago, I thought he was a center. So I think, but my point was at center, like
that's why I said for Vancouver, Stenberg works on the wing with PD.
Although I think that he could potentially play over PD, I wouldn't be surprised. But whereas I was like, he's not. McKenna would be the 2C behind Miller or Zibanejad, whichever one plays at center. He would be the 2C behind that. He'd be the 2C behind Matthews in Toronto, and they'd be the 2C behind Bedard in Chicago too for McKenna. But then yes, he'd be the 1C.
Like low-key, I feel like you got to keep McKenna. Like low-key, I feel like if McKenna goes to Chicago, you move.
Bedard's only 20, bro. Bedard's only 20. And they just took him first overall. Like, you're not willing to give up on him at center at 20 when you don't really care about winning yet.
Yeah,
like you'll just have, bro. Their team would be juiced because they'd have the Bedard line, the McKenna line, and the Frondell line, and then they'd fill everyone else in between.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, I think they're both guys that, like, I think low key these are guys that, especially McKenna, could push like point per game right out the gates.
I'm not as high as that. Like, I would say the ceiling for both of them is 60 to 65 points, in my opinion. The expectation is, bro, go look at like the last time I feel like Celebrini's skewing it. It's so rare that a player comes in and is immediately.
I know, but I think these are the type of guys like McKenna. Like,
I don't think they are. But we're like McKenna struggled at the World Juniors. He definitely got hate for his play at the World Juniors. Stenberg, up until McKenna faltered at the World Juniors, was not even sniffing first overall pick talks. And so, like, I just don't think they're the same caliber of prospect as Bedard or Celebrini or Schaefer, for that matter. I think they're really good. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think I think they're in a tier that we haven't seen a player drafted in a while, partially because the last 3 have been like generational prospects. And then the one before that was Slav, who was not that good. But I feel like they're in the like Jack Hughes type first year, if you remember.
Okay, yeah. No, I remember that.
Like, where they're a good prospect, I think they're going to be good, but they're not going to take the league by storm.
Okay. I mean, we're in different places on it. I'm really amped for them. I think they're both going to be just franchise guys, honestly. Like McKenna, like, actually for different reasons, I'm excited for both of them. I also think that this is big for like the kind of East-West rivalry that we got out of Crosby and Ovi. Like, it's very much 2 guys, same draft class. Like, Crosby and Ovi weren't same draft class, but they were same rookie year. But Stenberg and McKenna, if all goes right, they're both going to have the same rookie year.
I think the best one is the Bedard Celebrini. Like, that's the closest.
But I'm talking East-West. I'm talking East-West.
Okay, but Crosby and
like Euro North American rivalry.
Oh, like
that's what made.
But they weren't a rival because they were European and North American. They were a rival because they were on Pittsburgh.
It was a huge part of it early on. That's why there were so many ads that like Ovi's a Russian spy, and then like Sid's like the Canadian kid. Like, it was a big propaganda thing early, especially like when they were winning their cups. Like, that was a huge thing between them. Like, and when they were in the playoffs against each other, like, that was a big thing.
I don't remember that at all. I can't lie. I just remember the fact that Washington and Pittsburgh were close and divisional rivals and have hated each other for a while. And their 2 best players were drafted at like the same time.
Yeah, no, but I think it is big for European versus North American hockey. Stenberg's going to be a guy that,
that's pretty much died down. Like, North America fucking murders Europe in hockey. Like, don't even try us.
Yeah,
Europe.
But I mean, like, Stenberg is going to be a big addition for Sweden.
For sure. But I think part of what if I don't remember that, and like, obviously I'm not going to think you're lying to me. Like, obviously you're telling the truth, but like, part of what made that is like, that was a bigger conversation in the political landscape at the time than it is.
Well, I also think if Russia comes back, they are huge.
He's not Russian.
I know.
So it's not the same. Like, a Swede is not going to have the same generate the same villain arc that a Russian would or did.
Yeah, that's true.
Shinobi.
That's true. But I still think the rivalry between him and McKenna could be interesting, especially if they're both out west. Like if they end up on Vancouver.
Yeah, it is the
Calgary.
first time that we've had like a debate at the first overall pick in a bit too, since the Shane Wright year in 2022. So yeah.
Anyway, I think we're wrapping it up here. Again, we're going to be coming back here. We're recording on Friday. It'll either be out Friday night or Saturday morning for you guys. That'll be both the new podcast episode and the draft.
Sorry to interrupt you as you conclude, but Felix Ungersorum just got the call up to debut for the Canes tonight. I feel like that's cool. That's a notable prospect. That's a notable prospect getting the call up.
That is. But yeah, we will be back with our finishing thoughts on the season, and we're probably going to have like our projections for all the award winners now that everything's wrapped up, and who we think is going to cook in the playoffs. And we'll go through all our playoff first round previews and all that in our brackets. But yeah, thank you for joining us if you've listened this far. And we'll catch you the next time we drop the puck. Have a good one, everybody.